Hey everybody, welcome to it's Friday, Geekout Live. We do so many dang lives, I don't even know what we're doing. Okay, welcome. Say hello if you're joining us. We have a special guest. We've been promoting this all week, and we're so excited to have Winter Jones joining us today.
Howdy.
Yay! If you guys missed the last time Winter was in here with us, he was showing off his Chrome extension that allows you to migrate 1.0 pages over to ClickFunnels 2.0. So if you missed that, go and find it because he's giving that tool for free. So why not go use it? But today he's here so he can show us how he's been building pages using ChatGPT and MidJourney. So Winter, I'm sure you're going to say this a little bit better than I am right now, but you've been building pages for ClickFunnels. You're building templates for them, right?
Right. Yeah. And I'm using MidJourney to give me inspiration, essentially,
Yes.
and then pulling parts from it, and then ChatGPT to do the sales copy, and then ClickFunnels to do the rest.
Amazing. Okay. And then I'm doing all the talking, but Andrea is here and Dan is here.
Hi.
And we're all just going to kind of geek out on whatever Winter is going to show us. And you are here to join us in that. Anybody else want to say anything else?
Anything else before?
No, I'm ready. I'm looking
Okay.
forward
All
to
right.
it.
I'm going to share my screen.
And I think just to maybe make the connection, right? Because we do have the title in this of like, we know, just like Susan said, like ClickFunnels announced that AI is now embedded on the features in ClickFunnels. And yesterday we played around a lot with it. And so, but we weren't necessarily it's not clear, and maybe Winter, you can help on this, but like, it's not clear the engine that's actually supporting those things. Right. And so I think as we geek out on this, it's like, it's going to be interesting to see like how much of this is accessible in what was released yesterday, versus like using this amazing process that you're going to teach us, Winter, of like, hey, just the flow of funnel building, you know what I mean? Like how to get into the flow, but don't have to answer that now. But I know that's like an outstanding question. I think that we're trying to connect the dots between yesterday and what we heard and today, what we learned.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I would say that real quick, Winter, is I don't think that what we see inside of ClickFunnels is going to replace what MidJourney does, because I think that's just at so much a higher level when it comes to graphic.
Yeah, it will definitely replace a part of my process, but it won't replace, at least I don't think, give you inspiration to like create off of, which is where we're going to start.
Amazing.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. So if I close this tab, I'm out of the whole live, right? So don't close this tab.
Don't close your
StreamYard.
Awesome. Okay. So first
what I found is put this screen in one tab and then open up everything else in another, and in one window. I mean, so put this tab in one window, open everything else in another window, and then because we're all going to go to the left-hand side.
Right. I have you on another monitor now, so this is nice and professional. Perfect. Okay.
Winter, are you ready for me to add your screen to the feed?
Yes. Okay. I thought it already was, but yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, here we go.
So we're just gonna create one page real quick, and we're gonna do it on Kundalini Yoga. So hopefully,
sorry, I had to throw it in.
There's a request here.
Is that spelled right? Kundalini Yoga.
Yeah, you got it.
Awesome. So we're just gonna have that ready, and then we're going to also need another thing before we jump into that, is the style guide. So this is gonna make things so much easier for us over time. So we're just going to call that Kundalini Yoga. Perfect. Okay, now the fun begins. So let's go to here. Okay, so I'm still sharing my screen. Okay, I thought I clicked off. Okay, so you're going to ask MidJourney. If you don't know how to get to MidJourney, you essentially have to sign up to it and then add it to Discord, and then treat it like it's another friend, and then add it to conversations. So you can do it in the public forum or create private conversations and then add it there. You can pay more. You can pay more to make sure that all of your prompt generated images are private, like, because everything you do generate is public on your profile. So remember that. So we're just going to start asking it some stuff. And what I like to do is do a few different prompts real quick.
Okay, I'm going to read what you're typing just in case people are watching and it's too small. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Is
So you
that
just
good?
typed in the prompt. What was it? A landing page for Kundalini Yoga Company.
Yeah, and I can since I changed like landing page to squeeze page, I will notice that squeeze page sometimes gets a form on the page, landing page sometimes just gets buttons. So as you can see in this one, it's already generating like a form for an input. So we can also do.
And would you recommend, Winter, that we use Russell language on funnels, or like have you found that MidJourney understands how like Russell would define those things?
I thought squeeze page was pretty like abstract, but I haven't really like strayed off like too far since I'm getting so many good stuff on this. So that's something for you to experiment with.
Awesome.
But you can do a squeeze page for Kundalini Yoga Company, and then do --AR, which is aspect ratio. And here, if you do a taller image, you'll get a longer image that's sometimes more suitable. So if you do 2x3, I think it is, and then do that again. Or you can also add like more adjectives, like a modern landing page. Or
Winter, can you hide that bug at the bottom there? Click on where it says hide there.
oh, cool. That was bothering me too. Okay. Okay, so and then 9x16 is my favorite. As you can, so we'll just jump back to what we got here. So first of all, the text is gibberish, so don't really think about the text as like a layout and colors. So from here, I don't love most of them, and you can see her arm is crazy, but you're not always going to be taking the images out of it as like per se. I'll show you that. Wow, all of them are crazy. Look at that. Okay, so
we're talking about yoga. It's gonna put some weird stretching poses and people.
Okay.
Well, that's what I found with MidJourney is it does not do a good job on arms, hands, faces, anything like that.
I saw they're releasing version 5. This is version 4, and that one apparently does a lot better at limbs and fingers and things like that. So these are all essentially unusable. The inspiration. So if you were to just take this one, for instance, you already have a color scheme and a layout and a base idea of what to do here, and you could use this. But we're just going to do this real quick and hopefully find one that is easy to use. It's not crazy.
Now, let's say you have an existing color palette. Can you put that in your prompt?
So you'll get different results with this, but what I like to do is, so let's just open up in the browser so it's a bit bigger. So if you take a screenshot of something like this so that's not super distinguishable what it is, and then you can add that into Discord, copy the link, and then paste the link in, and then do the same thing. We'll just do that. So we'll just real quickly go through what you can do. So you can upscale them right here. You can redo this whole thing or create variations on ones that you like. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So just as an interesting note, so I do work with a lot of, actually my first journey in my entrepreneurial journey was I wanted to serve yoga teachers. That was my niche, right?
Awesome.
When I very first started. And so I worked with a lot of different yoga teachers, and surprisingly, the most common color palette that all of them wanted was this gradient, like chakra bold colors. So
like
I think it is amazing. All of them have these like, gradient, like more primary color gradient. Like it's bold, right? Like it's bolder and it's gradient. So it's amazing to me that MidJourney is like, that's what's coming out of MidJourney, because that was unprompted by me, by far the most popular color palette-y thing with all of the yoga teachers that I worked with. So anyway,
that's the best part about it, I think, is that like I'm inspired by each of these because it's giving me palettes and using like color schemes that are actually good. And I'm like excited right now with the yoga. I'm not seeing like ones that are jumping out at me. But we'll get there. So this one's great. So you can also, for me, I would just look at this one, this number 4 right here. Like that's great for all kinds of things. It looks like it's better for a web app that's yoga. But so we're gonna have to pick a simple one. Usually it's not. I don't usually get so many mutants when I do this, but so let's see what's happened here. So where's the prompt?
Might need a subject that isn't human heavy, human focused.
Right.
Well, I was wondering if you put in the same thing, and I can test this myself, but, say I want a landing page or a squeeze page for a real estate company, would it come up predominantly red, white, and blue? Because that's what most real estate company colors are.
It does. I get a lot of blue and red. When you do like
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say when you do like an agent or you specify a human more directly, then they usually have like portraits and they're pretty good, except for when there's more than one human in a photo in a single area, then it usually will have one person good and then like a whole bunch of weird faces. But there's a way to fix that. So, so if you do a product, it will try to do something like this, where it's away from a human and more towards like maybe on a package.
And one thing that I'm never totally sure on best practice, Winter, maybe you could shed some light. So I don't know if it's better for me to, of the ones that they've given me, if to try to work with, hey, pick one and then keep iterating on the one they've chosen versus, hey, my prompt didn't even get me in the right category. I'm going to give a different prompt. You know what I mean? And like, let's start afresh. So
yeah.
can you speak about your logic on how you do that?
Like when I do this by myself and I counted one time, I generated up to 200 for one website. So like I will just keep doing this and then like keep generating and then so I'll just keep going until I start seeing something that's really popping out at me. And then if I want, like for something like this where it's art, I could do a variation on that one and get something that's a little bit better. With the humans, I generally don't do that. So right now, I think we're just going to pick something that's super boxy. So one thing that I love personally is the layouts that are like kind of like this, where it's different and things are pushed off to the side. And that's where I get excited. And then I'm like, oh, cool. I want to try that challenge. For instance, like this guy, he's slightly over here with a shadow and slightly over top of that. Or this dude is like breaking out. That's one thing the AI will do a lot, is people will break out of layouts a lot. So like that's really great, but it's also really hard to do.
Really hard.
So we could jump, like for instance, if we were to do this one in ClickFunnels, it's pretty, like the face is wonky, but we can fix that. I know it's not yoga, unless you wanted to pick a yoga one.
No, you run with it, Winter. I'm all good. We're along for the ride.
That one. So I took a slice of a thing and gave it to it, and it totally gave me gibberish. So
gave you slices back.
There's definitely better ways to do that. In fact, I think it almost interpreted it as a stripper pole. I'm not sure. Okay. So yeah, we'll just go and pick this. Where did it go? This guy. So we can upscale him. And then it's going to change it slightly. Sometimes I notice that it might be in like a more 3D style when you look at it here. And then when it renders it or upscales it, it's more like a painted style that like sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. But we're using it as inspiration. So at this point, we don't need to wait for it. So let's start doing the most important thing, is build the style guide. So with ClickFunnels, all you really need to think about with the colors is these for the light background, which is in this case, and I have a little tool where I can just grab the color. So it will be right here or somewhere around there. So let's just go ahead and we'll just start across here. So we'll just make this one the lightest, and then, oh wait, no, we won't do that. We're going to do whatever this one is.
Do you also find that frustrating a little bit? That
yeah,
they don't line up with each other.
Yeah, they should just add little labels so that at least these colors are there, and then we have 4 extras. Well, actually, we technically have 3 extras, but then I use text color and then like link color, you know. So I would actually like more, but really, they need labels so it can be consistent for sure. So I think that's the color we needed there, and then for colored background, we're going to grab this yellow. I'm just doing it this way to make sure. Well, I guess it's the wrong color. My bad. Sorry.
We're all good. That's just it's just showing that they really need to put labels there.
Yeah, so actually I might have done this in the wrong order. This is a quick little extension, and it's going to make it a lot faster. So this is a Chrome extension that I built that adds this to the page, and right now it has 19 style guides available. So, and they're based off of like companies. So we're just going to pick one like Uber, and then it's just going to
cool.
Yeah. So this is going to make it a lot faster. At least it's going to take care of the text and the buttons for me really quickly. I still have to kind of redo what I just did, but then it's at least in my order where I know that this is light and dark. So let's just do that real quick again.
Yeah, that'd be so much better.
Yeah, it really would be. Because when I'm making templates, sometimes I forget the order, and then that doesn't really help. So that's the colored one. So where would that be? So colored is this dark one.
Even if they just gave us a tooltip over hover to help.
I agree. Okay, so I think since we need a color just in between here, so we're going to do that. So I think those are all the colors. Then I think this is the text color was what I've assigned it to. So let's go back and just click on the text somewhere. Sometimes it gives you cool colors. Sometimes you have to edit it. But that's the fun of doing it this way. So I'm not seeing, so you can just cheat, just borrow some colors from me. That one. And then maybe. Okay, so let's see if that looks okay. That could be either brighter. We could either go brighter and then change the text to dark or darker. So I think I'm going to go brighter and then change all of this over to the text color.
Nice. You know, it is funny. We were commenting on, you know, for a while it was we were trying to use 2.0 and annoyed because it didn't do this of 1.0. I am now finding that in these situations, like with Style Guide and working with products, that when I go over to 1.0, I'm annoyed because I'm like, 2.0 is better. So it's nice, you know, it's a nice the transition has started.
Yeah, it took me a minute to embrace it, like especially with the style guides and everything. But once you do, then you're like, oh, actually, I'm doing a little bit right now, but when I start jumping into the pages, then I don't have to think about it a lot, especially if you were to go through the shadows and the borders and really think about it. So for me, I use the borders and the shadows primarily for cards, which are like sections where you would put information, like a flex containers usually can be considered a card, and on the input. So essentially these are like different inputs, borders, since that's the only thing I really use it for. The buttons should be, well, the way I use it is like the primary button, then the secondary, and then the third one, which is, so this is usually the button that's going to be the one you click on, like that you want them to click on. And that would be this guy right here. So we're going to quickly, we'll just change the one button so that we're not taking forever on this. So that seems good, but it wants to be black. So you don't have to go as crazy. So like when I look at this, I want the shadow, I want the 3D effect, I want everything. We can't always do that. So it might look okay. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that I like to do, so if you click on it again, then you can get the color here so that you can just go like this. And then the reason why they're blank is not because of ClickFunnels, it's because of my extension broke the hover and press state on this, but that's a fix for later.
While you're finishing that up, am I wrong in thinking that when 2.0 was first launched, there was a gradient option in those color selectors and now it's gone?
Oh, I thought it
Am
was
I
still
making
there.
that up?
I
Is there
was
still
gonna,
a gradient?
yeah, it's there. I was gonna do it. So say we were gonna do it. It's just it can be super finicky, so you just have to kind of deal
Okay,
with
it
it.
is still there. Okay.
So if you click on this one,
Yeah,
and then
they changed it to a drop down. It looks like, yeah.
so it is cool, but you just kind of have to.
Yeah. Now it looks more like the
Yeah.
MidJourney version of it.
Mm.
I was like, I don't see that anymore because I haven't been paying attention to where it's at.
It's a good idea, and I generally like to do it. I just didn't want to show it off because I kind of have to fight with it.
Okay. It's good to
but
know, though.
where are we at here? Okay, so top and bottom. Okay, we're just gonna leave that off. So if you do a gradient, doing it twice is not that fun. But if you do the same thing and you click on it and making it sure it's right down here and you recently used, then you can go here, click it again, and then for hover states, it's usually brighter. And then for the press state, darker. So you can either do the top darker or the whole thing. But we'll just do it like that. And then that should be our button. I think that's it. Okay, cool. That was the style guide. Now we get to use it. So actually, oh, I guess I skipped this. So I'll show you, this is an outline. Sorry guys that I totally didn't tell you what I was going to do here. So here's the introduction. So we're going to create something in MidJourney, which we've already done. And then once we're happy with something, we're now pulling out the color palette, which is what we just did. And now we're going to jump into ChatGPT and we're going to use a hook story offer. So we're just going to ask it for as much content as we can because we're just going to start putting it in and then we can edit it. And for the record, I think of these as templates. So when you're doing this yourself, you definitely want to read and edit and apply your own actual message to these things. So don't trust it right away. If there's any questions, I'll stop here before I jump into the next one.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool. So with ChatGPT, I've hid the sidebar with CSS. So with one thing that I've learned recently is that you want to tell it what the ChatGPT AI, what it is before asking something. That's the best way to prime it so that at least it understands where it's the direction. I never did that before and you get similar results, but at least if it knows, it has an anchor point, I think, to keep like referencing. So we're going to say, since we're doing this guy, so we need to collect a name, email, a phone. So we're a real estate agent and we need to, so you are a real estate agent. We'll give it a history. You've been yes. We'll keep it really general, but the better you do this, like I've done this and told it like my history, and then I started to write a book with it, and it can like it's pretty impressive. It does start to forget what the whole beginning is, so you have to remind it and all that stuff. But so you're a real estate agent. You've been working at this for 10 years, and you sold $10 million in real estate. You want more email leads and phone numbers to pre-sell some homes for your brokerage
Can I just make a distinction in what you're doing right now, Winter? Because
Yeah.
I think it's really important what's happening right now, and people might not know what's happening. So, okay, so I want to go back to when Alexa first came into our homes, right? And we started to talk to Alexa like we talk to humans. Hi, Alexa, how are you doing? Right? And now we know that we have to go, Alexa, pause, say something that a robot can listen to. Alexa, turn bedroom light on. You know what I mean? Alexa, set timer for 15 minutes, right? So I think what ended up happening is when things are not designed for a human necessarily, right? We humans adapt and we talk to them how they need to be spoken to. And so we're talking to Alexa like she's a robot because she is, right? What you have just done is basically, I feel like, brought us back to, hey, this is my desire as a human, and I'm giving story, words, and prompts, right, of the human that you're trying to serve. And you in no way in any of this have, in my mind, you haven't adjusted your command to be more robot, right? You've stayed human, which I think is fascinating. Anyway, just wanted to like point that out of like, because even myself, as I've started to work with ChatGPT more, I find myself going back to, well, I'm talking to Alexa, so let me talk to her like an Alexa. You know what I mean? But it's like, and I think that's actually limiting what I can actually do with AI, because I think it's far more sophisticated in terms of its prompting response ability. Anyway.
Yeah, like I was thinking of it with you're like kind of quarantining. It's like supreme intelligence. So it's like don't know everything, just kind of know what I want you to know. And like also I still do it, but I don't do as much. Like I say thank you when it does, or I say please, but like I don't know why, but and I just can't. Like I saw somewhere online, someone says it's called ChatGPT, not demand GPT. I'm like, all right, like I gotta stop demanding stuff from this guy, this AI. I don't know. Anyways, so you're going to write this formula in the formula of hook. I should probably just go back to here so I understand or remember. So this is the way I did it before, which is actually not that great. This is the demand ChatGPT where I'm like, hey, just give me all of this stuff. Whereas now we're going to give it the context, and then we're going to tell it that we want it in the formula of hook, story, offer. We can give it a voice at this point, or really you want to give it like what is the goal it wants to accomplish, and what is the customer that it wants to do it for. So right now I don't really know too much about it, so we're just going to say your audience is a new home owner with 2 kids and a college degree. Like this might, like I'm doing this like just kind of free flow, but there's templates, or once you get used to this you'll understand like what to do about this. So I'm really new at this, so sorry about that disclaimer. Your audience is a new homeowner with 2 kids, a college degree.
Better watch out. You use the word need there. It's going to get mad at you.
Required. Please write me sales copy.
So there's the hook, story, offer, and then we want testimonial. Like I do this, you don't want it to make up testimonials, but about, and then the footer, and then
please don't make up testimonials.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that.
Okay, so we have, you are required to write the sales copy for your email squeeze page. You must do it the following format with 7 sections. I like that. Hook, story, offer, testimonials.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, about and footer. Okay.
Yeah, so
so you're teaching at the framework for how we know how to build pages.
And this is interesting. Again, like when you were telling story, you used more human words, right? When you're teaching a subject, right, like the best practice of a subject within a domain, it's more like you are the demand language.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because at that point, like I want to be like, okay, like here's what you're thinking, and then I switch to like, okay, I need this, and I need it in this format. Even this, I'm not entirely happy with, but it doesn't need to be a better format. Like it can format better than this. So it did it all. Usually, you'll have to say continue or change the prompt or say do it again, but be more like this, or I want it in this format. So you can change it up here. But I think we're good.
Which is, again, I just want to stress, right, that we talked about this yesterday, that it's only going to be as good as the prompts that you can give it in terms of hitting the mark. So you can be a human, right? No pre-qualification for being human. We all are, check. But to actually write good, to make a good sales funnel, it helps you to understand the basic principles of what goes into a good sales funnel or any kind of funnel, right? In order to teach it how to give you what you want and make it good.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you can I've done it where I've told it like, hey, you forgot to say this or include that. And then sometimes it's nice where it's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's a really good point. And like goes and does it again. So now that we have that, so we've done the style guide. This part, we're now 30 minutes in, so let's try to do this as quick as possible. So, oh wait, not funnels. Pages. We have to apply the style guide. So what I usually do is we do have the update, the full version here. And if we can't get close to the end, I'll just show you some of the one tool I want to show you. Nuts, so I have to log in. Okay, we'll jump back to that. Okay, so what this layout right here is right away a section, 2 columns, section, 2 columns. So this is super easy. So we're going to open up the ClickFunnels page, put that to the side. Going to add this, and then it's 2 columns. I almost forgot already. Okay. So we don't have a header. So let's add that, and then we'll do the 2 columns and then 2 columns again. So this one, since it's the header, we'll just do it black. We'll push these down. This is what I almost do every single time. So I always add the temporary logo name, and then I have to do this down here. I'll show you why. So I add a flex container, and then the paragraph, and then go home. This is like I generate my own kind of nav bar. I guess you could use the nav bar, but I think this way is much better. So we want to do this, and then we also want. So the reason why I did it down here, because I want it to be up here. However, if I go like that and try to clone it, you kind of have to do you have to sneak up on it sometimes. Oh, I did it. There you go. But I don't want to sneak up on it every single time. So
we had a question while you've been doing this. You can keep working, Winter. Just because someone noticed that you went to pages instead of funnels, and they were asking like, well, why would you choose a page instead of a funnel? My assumption to that is that it's just because that's where you chose to demo this.
Yeah,
normally
exactly.
you would be building this on a funnel.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I just felt like it would add another layer that wasn't needed. So we're not going to worry about the content right now, because what I do at this point is just, okay, so subheadline, headline, paragraph, button, and then image. So I just leave it blank. And then we're going to use headline, paragraph, paragraph, paragraph on that side. And then we're going to do headline, paragraph, paragraph. Go back here, headline, a bunch of inputs, and a button. So, well, okay, no, we'll just use the column. Sometimes I like to do a flex container instead of editing the column, but in this case, we'll edit the column. So we'll just add. Actually, I'll just do. Sorry, I go quickly.
No, you're all
Please
good.
do, yeah. Because I think most people, maybe not most people, but
They know all this stuff.
watching you build the elements isn't really why they're
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
So
Yeah, I want to get it done as soon as possible. Okay, so name. And we'll do the phone number because his real estate agent definitely wants a phone number. So, okay. And then, yeah, that's about it. Okay. So, so what we would do real quick is we can take this area and do this so that it becomes the form. Okay. So it didn't do what I expected there, but say, you know what? We're going to do it with a flex container because flex containers really help everything. So we're just going to take everything we did here and just pull it over into here. So let's just edit that so it makes more sense. So with flex containers, things can go different directions. So left to right or up and down, or I think you can, yeah, you can flip the order up and down. So we'll just do this. And the benefit of doing this is that we can just add the color here, and then we have all kinds of extra features. So let's do 60 maybe.
You might want to set the wrap to no wrap because that causes trouble a lot of times.
Yeah, I do that too almost every single time, and then sometimes I don't understand why, but I do it.
Well, no, it should be set to the default on that should be no wrap. So that's just something that needs to be fixed in the editor.
Yeah. So I think that has no margin top. So we need to turn this off, turn this off, turn this off. Because what we're trying to do with this section, which is the most unique part of this design, is to get this square. We could push it off and do the shadow, but that's too much for today. So we'll just do the same thing. You could edit the columns, but we have more freedom with this one. So we're going to need the light. I think that looks okay. So we do need to edit these columns to push them together. For some reason, there's margin on that. Okay. So now we're getting somewhere. Let's see what we need to do next. So the background, we can do this same effect with the black if we want. And we might as well, since I started. Wait. I think that could be good. And we're going to need
Winter, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. So I think my default is that I always go to start a new funnel. We had a question in the group of why did we pick a page? And I think it was just for simplicity, right? But typically it would
Andrea, we already talked about this.
I must have. I
You
see
must
it.
have
I
missed
see it in the chat. Yeah, I see it.
No, I talked about it on here as well.
Sorry, missed it. Yep.
But yeah, it's just because that's where he chose to demo it today. Normally you would put this into a funnel.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I totally missed that one. I was so enamored with it.
Yeah. So like when just to jump back to this part. So if you see what I'm trying to do is have this black be pushed back and then this on top of it. Right. So usually what you do is you would have this one be the Z index be below the one on top of it and change it to relative. So that's not particularly working right here. So what I can do is do it on the row, but as you can see, the row is not accessible anymore because I made it 0 pixels. So you can always click here, go to the row, and then hopefully when we change that, okay, there we go. Perfect.
And I made an assumption about this, but maybe I just want to check my assumption. So Dan, one of the things that you did that you taught us was that like sliding, that the bottom sections always are default overlaid over the top sections. I think 2.0 works the same way, but I would just want to check that assumption. Is that still true?
The bottom will always go up over the section that's above it. In this case here, he's trying to make the section above over the top of the one
You
below.
can actually manipulate that now in 2.0 versus in
Yeah.
1.0 it was through kind of just working with that principle.
Right.
So you could have used CSS in 1.0 to do it. Here they have the positioning available for you right inside the editor.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Z index.
Yeah, the one thing that's different here is that it defaults to what was I again? What is it? Static instead of relative. I don't really know what the difference is, but that's the only difference that I saw there. So now we're going to start taking the copy and throwing it onto the page. And then hopefully the last thing we do is add that face in there, and then we're basically there. And that's details, but we won't do that. So we're going to do Chicago because I can't think of any other city. Okay. And then so I'm going to do it in a different order.
So I think the really valuable part for what you've shown us so far for me, because and this is me, because I've been playing in ChatGPT and in MidJourney a lot. So this is probably different for those of you that are watching that are like brand new and you're like, yeah, I just barely scratched the surface, or I haven't even used it at all yet. But the most valuable thing that Winter has showed us so far is how to speak to ChatGPT to get a good output. And again, you have to read through it, make sure it's good. You have to probably remind it of some things or add in some more details. So this initial draft that he's doing may not be the best that it can be, but it's a good start. So just like the idea of telling ChatGPT, like, okay, you are this. You are a real estate agent. This is a little bit of backstory. Now create my thing. That's awesome. And then the other thing, which he hasn't gotten to yet, which I think we're going to have time to get to, is how do you take, so far he's just using the MidJourney image that we've been given as inspiration of like, oh, okay, it's laid out this way. Let me go kind of lay it out that way with the colors and stuff. But to actually extract the images from the MidJourney image that it's given us, I think that's where you're going to go next with the person. And that's going to be the other powerful thing that is just like next level use of this stuff.
Yeah, so I'll just jump to that now because you essentially get the idea of what would be going on here. So I'll just switch to this and then bam, and then from here, it's just copy and pasting the text in. And like you said, with editing it, what I like to do, since I'm super visual, is I will put the copy in there and edit it as I go. And then once it's a whole book, like a whole chapter of a book, when you can read it from top to bottom, then, read it and make sure it flows. Like it's not forgetting what it just said to you. Like make sure that that this all makes sense, that when you're reading it all the way down, that because sometimes it will give you, it will forget. Or I say forget when I say that, I mean it will stop the context from one thing to the next, or if that makes sense. So let's just see what this looks like. I already have it. Okay, it's not bad. Like you can see the idea. Oh, it's behind here, but let's not worry about that. So from here you would just copy and edit and do all the details, which is the fun part. So we're gonna extract this guy's face. So we could use this, throw this into Photoshop. Okay, and grab it out. But I just saw something. So there's two things happening here that I would do. I would grab this guy out, which we'll do. And if you're on Mac, it's a lot easier. We just copy and paste this and then wait a few seconds. Then this thing will highlight, and then we should be able to just now select this guy completely out of the image. And then if you go to Photoshop or something like that, now we have just the dude. We do need to kind of fix him up just a little bit, but his face and everything is messed up, but we're going to try and fix that. Okay, so now that we got the guy cut out, let's save him. I was also going to do a logo in this but we'll skip that. So
His
when
poor
this,
forehead.
yeah, I wonder if he's going to turn into like angry when we
Right.
upload.
Yeah, right.
So the next thing I would do is it might be a little bit hard with this image is to cut out this whole background. So I would either take this whole thing and copy it to Photoshop, and then like either grab a section of it. Oops.
And just a shout out for those in the audience who are looking. I think most people in the funnel community are not familiar with design tools, right? So the popular tools that are out there. So Winter's using Adobe Photoshop, which is really popular. There's also Affinity diagramming, Affinity tool.
It's Affinity Design. That's
Affinity
the one that I
Design.
use.
Yeah, thanks. That's a lower cost version, but that's what allows you to do these types of things.
Because it'd be Affinity Photo would be the equivalent to Photoshop, and then Design is the equivalent to Illustrator.
There you go. Yeah. And so for all of you, including myself, right, who are Canva, this type of technology is not available on Canva right now. So
right. So yeah, that's like what I do with Photoshop is essentially either cutting things out and then recreating. So there is like a design aspect to get it to like because my goal is to make it look like this as much as possible. So I will take assets out, or I'll grab oopsies. Like I did before, grab like that part of it, or take and send that to MidJourney. But as we've seen, like maybe slices aren't always the best. So you can even just send this whole thing to MidJourney and kind of cut him out. And then, try that experiment with it. It depends on what you want to do, but we'll assume that we got that background cut out. We do have the man, so let's go ahead and stick the man in there. We're going to stick him in. Okay, no, maybe we're going to do something first. We should do this. So this is pretty cool. Sometimes you get great results from this kind of thing. It's called face enhancement, and this is face 26. And I've been using it, so I can show you some examples really quick. This is a dude that I put in, and you can see his eyes are the worst thing on him, but everything else seems pretty okay if you have an artistic vision. But then if you throw him in here, now he looks pretty realistic, and he doesn't look as scary. Like there's not like, okay, now it's passable. And I've taken that image and threw it into MidJourney and said like a man with a portrait of a man with his family and a dog, and then MidJourney kept the style. Like it's not the same person per se, but when it's a fake person, it looks pretty dang close. And you can see even the eyes down here look good. Here's another example. And then here's the last example is that I threw this one in and it wouldn't work. I think it's due to the blank. And then I threw this guy in, and here's him before and then after. And I still wasn't happy because the teeth look a little weird. The whole mouth is weird. So I tried him again. And then the difference is subtle, but if you look at the teeth, it's pretty crazy.
Like his lip looks a little more realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I still couldn't get rid of this like weird gap or thing, but this does cost money every single time you do it. So we're gonna spend 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever it costs. So,
So the original images you had here, you pulled off of MidJourney and then you stuck them into this app.
Yeah. So we went from this guy to now this guy, and he looks like a human now. So we're going to say that's good. And now in ClickFunnels, let's go ahead and add him. So like ultimately, like what MidJourney suggests to you and then what you end up will be different, like with all the variations and all the things that you do. One thing that I love to do is ask it for icons or logos as part of the process. So if we would just real quick. So one thing I also would suggest to do is to tell it to be on a white background. because I always want to pull these out. So we're going to try a logo and an icon while we're waiting for this to upload, and it's on a black background. So I would normally cut him out and then put in a image in the background here, which we can do. We'll just do unsplash house. So yeah, I was hoping I was gonna able to polish things. I have the component library and stuff to make it quicker, but I think the end result's basically the same. Okay, so for the logos, these are pretty cool, but the hardest part when you look at it, you're gonna see that there's the text. However, so you could, if you don't have Photoshop and don't want to get involved with that, you can use this as your precursor to like your Upwork or Fiverr person. So you can just keep generating these, and say you like this one, you can just go ahead and keep generating images. This is a kind of advanced thing real quick, is that you can remix it. So you, instead of creating a variation, you can now change the words so that when it does create the variation, it will like with the bowl, and then now it will use that style and then add a bowl. But I haven't used it too much. But just to summarize, is you can take that one that you like and send it to somebody and say, edit this, add this text. Because some of them are pretty.
How did you turn on that remix?
Good question. So I think the settings, if you write in settings, then you can click on a variety of things. So I guess I have it on base quality. You can do 2 times quality. I generally stay away from style stuff when it's a website because it will be too hard to replicate. I also have the beta upscale, and then there's the remix mode, and stealth mode is the one that will make it private. And fast mode will make it
turned on all the time, and then there was an icon or something for you to click on.
And if you're into like different art styles, there's the Niji mode, which is good for art, anime, and it's primarily used for anime apparently, but it apparently does really good human type things as well. I haven't played around with it very much, but if you want to get super advanced, you can go back. I think it's version 3 where you can do a repeating grid. I don't know the command exactly right now. Oh, I think actually, let's try. Paper and then tile.
Well, that was what I was going to say, is there are so many different prompts and things you can type in here. But what's kind of cool about MidJourney, which is very cool about MidJourney, is you get to see what else everybody else is doing, what they're creating, what prompts they're typing in. So just pay attention to what other people are putting in for their prompts, and then use those same prompts and see what you get for a result. I've gotten some pretty cool stuff, basically copying what other people did, because I don't know what to do.
Well, what's really, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What's interesting to me in some of the prompts though is similar to and it just dawned on me today, Winter, and thank you for this. I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but I really think for me the epiphany, kind of what you're saying, Susan, like the epiphany for me was whether I need to be, this prompt needs to be talk like a human or talk like a demand, right? Or a command. And in the talk like command, it's when I'm coming from a place of expertise, versus when I'm talking like a human, it's kind of a little bit more exploratory, right? And so even in this, and Winter, I know that you're a designer too, like even looking at some of the logos, right? Like to me, it's like we would need to switch into like maybe command mode, right? Where like maybe we can like speak Gestalt principles, you know what I mean? To be like, hey, you know, like increase the, you know what I mean? The proximity of these 2 elements or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to like improve the design. Not that these are actually bad design at all, but anyway, that was my big epiphany of just as I'm thinking about the prompts and the nature of the prompts.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is that like with ChatGPT, you can get away with more of the human language. With MidJourney, you have to stick to like keyword type language. It really doesn't do anything with if you're putting in like filler words or anything other than like the keywords and commas that you want it to do. But that's
Yeah, exactly.
interesting.
You have to
Yeah.
think of it like with ChatGPT, it's like the language model, so it has access to I mean, it's a huge database of language. Whereas this was the image model, you had to think like it knows what a chair is, it knows what a car is, it might know what a specific type of car is, a specific type of chair in a certain style. But if you don't tell it, or you try like like I started with very whimsical, like but like if you're doing artistic stuff, then go nuts. But when you're doing it for what I like to do, there's basically to summarize is the graphics, like the best one is like background graphics, so you don't have to be super specific, like you can. And to do that real quick, I know I just went on a tangent. These ones are supposed to be tileable, so they're supposed to repeat perfectly. They don't look like they do, but yeah, if you're going to do a background, so like a grunge texture, and then AI 9:16 is generally going to give you the best background size and style. You can also do a header of a website and use 9:6. No, I did it wrong, the opposite way. So that aspect ratio is great for phones and stuff like that. But if you do grunge texture, I always mess those two up. But yeah, I wish I had something better to show you at the end of the day with this. But for me, I've created this tutorial and specifically to help other template designers. So in real practice, you wouldn't want to create fake photos of people who bought a home, like unless you really want to.
Yeah, you'd be putting you there or your client there.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a fake person, right? I know some of the things, I don't know, do you have handy, Winter, some of the ones that you've made recently, or are they even on that PDF thing?
I can show you one of the ones
because
that
you've done some without humans on it, and you've extracted graphics from the images that MidJourney's given you.
Yeah, so I definitely have some. The one I like the most, it does have a human in it, though. I was going to show you that one, but
yeah,
this one, okay, no, that doesn't. So I was going to do one with food, and I've tried it, and it's cool. But when you look at the image and you keep looking at it, then you realize that like the noodles don't make sense, and there's too much detail that's crazy about it. So, so they almost all have humans. But in terms
show us the humans. Show us what it looks like when you have a good version of a human.
And just so we don't lose it too, Winter. So I don't know, this is me putting on a marketing hat right now, right? But what you just shared in terms of that guide is an amazing lead gen that I'm sure a lot of people in the Geekout community would want. So if you want to drop a link for an opt-in in order for our community to have access to that, that is like free game. So just to make sure we don't lose that thread.
You mean the style guide thing? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a link for that yet, but as soon as it is, you guys can get access to it.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So this one is the commercial. So this one's a character. So I got to be a little bit creative here. So this is from the old ClickFunnels commercial where Doyle sells nude squirrels. So yeah, and I love this one. So I used it to generate some romantic looking squirrels. Yeah, and then since it's a character, I wrote the whole all the copy in a way so that if you were to go through the whole funnel, so this is the opt-in where he teaches you how to paint squirrels, and he's modern now. So
and again, I just have to say too. So I think that all of us get really excited about ClickFunnels AI, right? But I want to just like, what makes this such an amazing one, right? Is you used your creative brain to have a theme, right? And you had a plan and an intention for what this was, and then you worked with AI in order to bring that vision and intention to reality. Versus, I just want to caution a lot of people who get excited about AI of like, I know nothing about funnels, build my funnel for me, and then expect it to convert. That's not how it's going to work. So anyway, just had to point that out. This is super creative.
Yeah, like that's definitely like you have to know the whole framework of what you're going to do. Then it becomes even more enjoyable because then you don't have to worry about that, and then you can just jump into like, and it's a great way to practice. If you don't have a client and you want to do agency work, just create a client and just it's really a lot of fun. I'm going to try to go through this funnel really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up. So on the thank you page, on any thank you page, if you don't automatically go to a offer, you should tell them what to do. And usually it's check the email. So he's going to tell you to do that. And then you paint your first squirrel, and then you buy genuine art. And then this made me laugh is that since I wrote the whole text or all the copy, he's also available as a magician on the side, just in case everything doesn't work. So now we go to the sales page. Oh, also I took this video that he appears in. I took screenshots of the video full screen and fed that into MidJourney to get some of the graphics. So real quick, we'll just go through this one. I don't think there's any good jokes here. No good jokes. So checkout's really simple. But since I was a character, you get to be creative. For instance, I was thinking like, what would he think a checkout? I mean, the order confirmation page should look like, and he would say that it would have to look like a receipt that I got at the store. So if I was the designer for him, he would keep saying like, make it look more like a receipt. So that's what he gets. This is great. The upsell for that. And then we're almost done. Then we have the webinar, so I've used him again, added him to a background. Then I also created his wife. So it came out with a beard, and I was like, that's actually not so bad. So yeah, keep that. And then the last one is the challenge. So like that's like right now, I think that's a full ClickFunnels funnel. Like you can go a split test and all these different things, but like that's all the pages available. You could create a challenge page that is more things like his is paint, print, profit. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So you can have a lot of fun with it, and all the graphics here are AI generated.
Well, that was the point I was going to make in case somebody didn't really catch it. Every graphic on that page you made using MidJourney for free.
Yeah,
you
essentially.
You didn't have to go to Fiverr. You didn't have to do anything. You had to learn a little bit about it. And I shouldn't say free. I think I just signed up for, what is it, $100 a year or something.
Yeah, which is like if you use it and you like, then it's essentially free. Like it's so good.
It's already paid for itself after like one.
Yeah. And I've spent thousands of dollars in my time for Fiverr. Like it's like I've created music, like albums and like all kinds of things with Fiverr. So as soon as I was able to create art with I was all over. I'm not super into the copywriting. Like I like it, but that's not what gets me excited. What I'm excited for is as soon as I can say, give me a movie, and then I write the movie, and then I get to watch the movie. That's going to be so amazing.
That is going to be so amazing.
I want to know everybody out of his character is, based on Mrs. Doyle. I mean, Doyle. It's only winning ingredient there.
Yeah, if you read the copy, which I win, it's revealed on the webinar that it's actually his wife who has all the money, and like and he's only made like this one. So where is it? He's made $328, where she has made multi-billions, and together they have $1 billion empire.
That's so awesome. And again, so I have to point out too. So sorry, I know I keep like pulling us off on a tangent, but I think like there's so much hype around AI, right? And so super quick story. So back in the day when I was getting my PhD, the lab right next to ours was the leading expert in the world on machine learning. And so we used to do these classes with him, right? And in order for like our graduate school work, in order to graduate, we had to take his class. And his name is Alex Stoichev. Anyway, and he starts the whole class off with what is intelligence? That is actually the essence of the question the entire time that we're learning from him. And he essentially says, the definition of intelligence is connecting seemingly unconnected things. And so I think what we've just learned and what you've just demonstrated really well, Winter, is that yes, AI is amazing, and yes, it is starting to understand human language better in terms of like the human prompts. But I think at the end of the day, again, it's like we humans, right? Our ability to connect seemingly unconnected things and craft stories around those things is the thing that makes us so unique, you know, in terms of intelligence. And so like being able to feed these engines with that intelligence is actually the magic combo. It's not they're going to do it for us or they're going to take over all this other stuff I think that's out there, right? It's this combination, right, which just amplifies. So
100%. I agree with you 100%. And the last thing I'll say on that to make your point is I'm a coder as well. So I use a thing called Copilot, and I've been using it for probably 6 to 8 months. And I've been telling people like, oh, the future is I'm just going to guide the AI. I'm not even going to like, you know, so and that's, I've already been guiding the AI, but also for that, it has to know not every all your code, but for that file particularly, it needs to know what the context is. So if you think about it like that, then it's like, okay, if otherwise it's just going to come up with like gibberish every single time. Right on. This is awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We got it just over an hour.
Just over an hour.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming. And we still have people on with us live. If you guys liked this, if you want to see more, obviously, Winter kind of gave a little sneak peek of his graphic that he made. And it's actually, I've seen the whole thing that he had somewhere. And it's like a really long, basically tutorial and an infographic. So if you guys want that, let us know in the comments. When Winter has an opt-in page for you to go and opt in and get it, then we can share it with you. Make sure that you know about it.
I'm gonna put Winter on the spot a little bit too. I think Winter, you are somebody who is always exploring and innovating and trying to be cutting edge. So if somebody was like, I really want to follow what Winter is doing, where can we go to do that, my friend?
On my Facebook is the only place I really produce content. So that's Winter Jones on Facebook. But there is a site called funnelplugins.io. And to iterate Dan's point, he made a video the other day saying to do your www. Right. So if you go to funnelplugins.io without a www, it won't go to the right place. So add a www.funnelplugins.io is where I have everything that I'm producing right now.
Amazing.
So thank you for allowing me to do that plug. I was not going to say that.
Oh my gosh, no, it's the least that we can do. I think you give so much to the community just, you know, freely, and it's an incredible gift, especially as all of us are trying to get more intelligent on our intelligence that we can actually give to the intelligent engine.
Yeah, and like that
put that link on the screen.
It's using the AI for what you're doing. So even my girlfriend, she's a pastry chef and she's doing a market this weekend. So she's selling all kinds of macarons and stuff. But we've been using it for like background splashes of like cool things, but also for like recipe recommendations. So as long as it's pretty irrelevant to you, AI, like it was for me. But then as soon as I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can use this for my work. Oh, wait a minute. And then you do. And then it's like, oh, wow. So try to implement it in some area. Don't be too afraid of it. Like it's going to take over. So we might as well be happy about it now.
That's amazing. And lots of comments too. Just when they're saying that was awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So yeah. Yep.
Cool. Next time I'll be do less.
No, never do that. It was amazing.
Okay, do more. That's how I like
it was going to be a lot, right?
Okay, perfect.
Well, and then I was going to say, as now that ClickFunnels has their own AI thing in there, I would guess over the next few weeks that's going to mature. Maybe, who knows? I mean, so yeah, definitely at any point, Winter, you want to come back, just or we'll just every time you post something, I think, okay, well, we got to get Winter back on again. So don't worry, you'll be back on next month, next week.
Yeah, you might be a monthly regular.
Awesome.
Yes, please.
And next time I'll definitely show this process, and we'll be faster because we will be using marketing AI. So I haven't tried it yet, and I know you guys have access to it. So like I have a whole lot of questions, but you could probably add ChatGPT as a starter or as a middle ground, and like I'm sure there's all kinds of ways to make them work together, or not at all, and just use marketing AI for everything.
And besides the fact that it's in ClickFunnels, do you know anything else about this company, Marketing AI? Because I went to their site and I opted in. I'm assuming it's the same site. I went to their site,
idea.
Opt in. Yeah.
I was trying to look for it too because I wanted to know the engine, right? Because it was really clear yesterday when we were putting things into the engine or into marketing AI, it wasn't using the same protocol, or there was some disconnect between like what we could get with MidJourney and ChatGPT seems way better. So I don't know if that's just like an up and comer, or they don't quite have everything wired up right or not. You know what I mean? But it definitely, it's like, is it the same engine? Is it not the same engine?
Yeah, I'm curious. Like the ChatGPT API officially launched not too long ago, like last week. But the open API was available, and that's the same thing essentially. But the ChatGPT, particularly their API and their documentations, that's where I got the idea. Where it says like, tell it what it is, what do you want? Because in the API you send it, here's what you are, here's what I want, like as official standard. So I would assume it's using that, and I think the trick is coding it in a way where it figures out the chat. Like I'm trying to learn it myself, so I'm trying to figure out a whole new UI to figure that out. And the chat is obvious. I didn't even think of that. I was like, oh, of course, an assistant. But yeah, I think it's ChatGPT, I would assume.
Okay.
But
And then we had another question that came up, Winter. Do you have like 2 more seconds?
yeah.
Okay. So this other question came up yesterday in our conversation, and Dan had mentioned that we were trying to understand the base servers of language systems that these AI systems have access to. So we know that it, scrapes the internet and that it has a collection of those. We know that probably, or my theory was that like some version of the AWS language processing system, which we know is open to developers, is probably being used. But then there's also like research institutions like Big Blue Ocean down in Illinois University, right? Where they have like massive engines of, like that was the first one that beat the chess master, and they have
Right.
like massive engines of not just like typical language systems, but also folksonomies and different like specialty taxonomies that you can access. So we're like, how deep does it go in terms of the AIs that are out there, like, and what they have access to? Is it predominantly just what's in the public domain and easy, or do they have access to these other kind of, they're still open, but they're like a little bit more recessed and lesser known? Do
Right.
you know that by chance?
Well, so I watched the video, so this is all hearsay, so don't
Okay.
quote me too hard here. But there's one, and I wish I knew the link right now, but there's one company that creates a whole bunch of data, like it scrapes data and creates like terabytes and petabytes of data, and they open sourced it. So, and then I'm pretty sure Open API and other companies use that to train off of as one source, and then so by doing so, that's where you get the copying and like copyrighted written words, where it's like, oh, who's actually done that? Like, it's like, from what I heard, it's a roundabout way of like, so that's where you can get like straight up some words come back to you. Like with the Copilot, it is possible to get trade secrets to come back to you, which we don't want, right? And so like we don't want plagiarism. So I think that's what's going on. I think that's just going to get better. I think if that is true, that's just how they started it, and it was probably a legal thing, if anything.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we're, as we explore more, it's always just so interesting to go to the root, right? Like what actually is informing the beast. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I've heard that you can get access to the internet, but it's always not true. Every time I try, it's like it makes it stuff up.
And here's the thing: is you can't go anywhere today without hearing about AI and ChatGPT and all that stuff. But my bigger question is, when was the first time any of us here heard the term ChatGPT? 60 days ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's like the thing. I read an article where Google is absolutely freaked out right now because they've fallen behind the ball on this. And so they're having to try to scramble to catch back up to Microsoft, who bought in with ChatGPT. And the Chinese government, they're going nutso because they don't have their version of this. So they're pushing to get theirs built as quickly as possible. So, I mean, we as the public just heard about this, and there's massive organizations around the world who hadn't heard of it before.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's scaling at an exponential rate. That's why it's like, oh my God, what is it going to be like in 2 years from now? Once, like, I take the cynical road of being like, we're going to be asking the AI to do things for the AI so that we just don't need to use computers anymore, But like, what I think my real assumption is what's going to happen is it's going to create digital identities, or the need for it even more so than ever before. So like a Facebook check mark and all that stuff, because we're going to get to a point where I can literally like be Dan kisses Andrea, and then Susan slaps him and burns down the house, and then boom, like you would immediately know that's fake. But if you did enough times, you would start to lose where the beginning of the real is and the fake begins, and then it gets blurry. So it's a Pandora's box. And so right now you better you should get involved before it becomes so out of control that you feel overwhelmed even more so, right? Because it is all simple. And don't last thing, I know I said that already, the thing is that each service is going to charge you a small amount. So remember to not, because I've already done that where I'm just buying a whole bunch of small services and then realizing, oh, actually this all costs money.
There's a really interesting comment that I just thought would be a great closing, and that is, I feel AI is the next wealth transfer, just like the internet first came out. 100%.
That's how it feels like. It feels like a whole new internet is like we're at the beginning, and it's great for ClickFunnels because ClickFunnels 2.0 all new, and then actually now something whole new is coming out, and they combine them two, and now it's kind of it works out, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Amazing.
Well, just add one last point at the end is I've got a number of people who've asked me over the last couple of weeks is how is this going to affect Jim Edwards and Funnel Scripts? Well, just if you get on Jim's list, you can sign up for his early bird list to get his AI product that is coming out at some point here. Called, I think it's Genie.ai or something. He's come out with it. So yeah, he's on it. He's on it too, just like everybody else.
That's awesome. Awesome. We need to geek out AI. No, just kidding. Too much.
Yeah, it'd be crazy to do this as like pre-recorded and see if anyone noticed that we were all AI with pre-trained voices and everything.
That'd be like the next level of Turing test.
Yeah.
It's been at least 6 to 12 months ago that I saw the first deep fake video that I saw, and it was of Tom Cruise. It was completely computer generated, and you could not tell that this was a fake video. Because it was Tom Cruise in the video, but it wasn't.
I think that's how they did Luke Skywalker in the latest Mandalorian, right? Yeah, like it was all
really
generated. Yeah.
Spoilers. Just kidding.
Sorry.
I'm always seeing like what Dan said with Tom Cruise, I'm always seeing them for Keanu Reeves. There's some like TikToker out there that has Keanu Reeves and like has him doing like mundane tasks. It's hilarious, but you totally could believe that it's him, not him.
Yeah, and that's when we do it for celebrities because it's basically fair game. But then we do it to another person. Like there's one called 11 Labs where you can make any photo talk, and I was doing that for myself, and then I did it for somebody, and it still felt weird because I was like, I don't have the permission to do this. Like I'm making your photo talk and say something, but so
yeah, Dan did that to me.
Oh yeah,
on a video.
Well, I got the idea from Winter when he did it with Drew Newman's.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It was like I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah, the cartoonized image that he had on Facebook, and he took the image, ran it through this thing, applied the language to it, and it honestly looks like it's a cartoon talking.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to test the ethics of things for sure. Everyone needs to
100%.
Start thinking about that and where do you stand on certain things. Okay, all right, we got to wrap this up. Winter, again, thank you so much for being here and sharing all that gold awesomeness with us. Just reading the comments again. All right, we will definitely have Winter back at some point next week. Just a quick plug. I don't think we've mentioned this yet before, but we're going to have Turner Leslie. I think it still works for him, hopefully. Turner Leslie works for the affiliate department of ClickFunnels. He's going to come and join us next Friday to talk about the ClickFunnels affiliate program, not the affiliate feature to have your own affiliate program, but the actual ClickFunnels affiliate program. And so if you have questions around that, come and join us on that Friday. And we can get all of our questions asked, and we'll see what he's able to answer and what he's not able to answer. Amazing. Okay. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
So much, Winter. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.